What the deal with the business is? You already know that's not rhetorical. That's a real question. What the business is? And today the business is networking, man. When you starting your business or building your business, you got to network or you got to be open to networking because you never want to limit yourself in business, man, in terms of what you're doing. So you got to broaden your horizon. You got to network. So this one here, we're going to try to focus on networking a little bit, and then we're going to get into branding and trademarking and things like that. Might have to save that one depending on how long this one go, but that's going to be kind of the focus on this one here. We're going about networking and how important that is, because that's one of the things we definitely ask our entrepreneurs that we've had before is what do they do and what have they done in terms of networking and building their business and building their brand. And also we haven't done any kind of disclaimers in our previous episodes, so that's some of what we're going to try to get into on this one too as well, to make sure we'll be mindful of that one as we move forward, because we're never trying to offend, especially intentionally offend anyone, because we're all inclusive podcast, man. So we definitely don't want to offend anyone, and we're not trying. And if anyone has ever been offended by anything that was said on any of our previous episodes, we definitely apologize for that, because that was never our intent. So this is kind of like a retro disclaimer, or a future disclaimer. We're going to try to use them as much as we can in our upcoming episodes, so that we can definitely have an understanding of that fact that we're just trying to give great information to help you build and be successful in your venture. So we're never trying to offend anyone in what we do and what we say. And keep in mind all the thoughts and the feelings expressed by any of our guests or entrepreneurs that we've had previously or that we're going to have. Those are their thoughts solely, and really they're just sharing their personal experiences and what happened while they were building their business or growing their business, So those thoughts are solely there. So we try to lend them a platform in order to express, how they've built their business, what happened along with their journey while they've gone along. So if anything they said has offended anyone, or let me definitely say that was never our intent. We just want to give them the opportunity to express just how they've built and grown their business, and kind of help you lessen any kind of hardships you might have while you're building and growing yours. So some of their experiences have been maybe specific to what had happened to them while they were working on their project or what have you. Some may have been a blanket statement that they made, but we definitely don't mean to offend anyone, man, because like you said, we at our Ramble, we're definitely an all-inclusive podcast. So we welcome all entrepreneurs in every phase of their building, black, white, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, all walks of life, man. We respect and welcome all of them to our platform, where we can just gain some great entrepreneur information to give back to the new ones and to existing entrepreneurs to kind of see if they can use any of these tried and true things to help build or better their business. So we're definitely all inclusive. We're not pro this or anti that, and we're definitely not a political podcast. If we say something in terms of a social commentary, it would probably mainly morely in passing more so than a focus, because we're mainly an entrepreneur-centric podcast. Like I said, we welcome everyone in all walks of life, man. LGBTQ, we respecter of all people, man. No one can really say they have a firm uniform understanding as to why we're all here on earth, or why we're all here living and building, So, but one thing we can all say though is that we're going to be a respecter of people. So that's what we definitely try to do with what we do here at I Ramble, man. We're a respecter of all people. like I said, we're more entrepreneur centric, but we're gonna branch into different things too as well, because we're going to talk about mental health. We're going to talk about um, depression. We're going to try to reach out to different people to kind of give you some great information and kind of help you to better yourself and build yourself. We're definitely, so please understand, we're all inclusive, man. We're not a pro this or pro that. Like I said before, we're a respecter of all people, all walks of life, man. We're all inclusive here. We just tend to have an entrepreneur centric gear or stare, you know what I mean? Because that's our spirit that we have. And while we're building ourselves in terms, because I lack a lot in terms of business acumen. So that's why I learned a lot in some of the business ventures that I've undertaken, because I may not have the right tools or the right steps or the right what have you. And as I build and grow them, I'm able to now install them in going forward, a whole lot of different things, in terms of business structure, empowering your workers and people who work with you. One of the great things that a builder do is he empowers. You may have a great idea and a concept and unable to kind of bring it to fruition on a 100% basis by yourself. So what you do is you reach out to people who are knowledgeable in that field and empower them. And one of the things you have to do when you empower people, you have to step back and let them shine, because you sought them or you employed them because you felt that they were able to help you bring your vision to fruition. So you definitely want to empower people and allow them to use that empowerment to even bring on more people that probably can help move things forward in a proper manner. So like I said, you may have a great idea and a great vision and a concept for something, but you don't know the full steps. So that's kind of what we're trying to do, is bridge that gap and be that guide to help you get from that vision board in your head to a physical store, online store, or wherever you plan to go, or wherever you see your vision going. You're just trying to help to foster that. So that's why we reach out to all these entrepreneurs, these builders, these architects, to kind of help you foster and grow your business. So. And that's one of the things we definitely want to do, is want to help you overcome any kind of hurdles, help you with any kind of learning curve, because we had a lot of learning curves too. I say we, and I mean I'm only mostly, because as even with the podcasts and things like that, I gained so much information that I'm trying to employ them in what I do. So I got to be more mindful in terms of making sure I have my notes in order, so that even when I speak on something, I have the proper facts for it, or I even say those things that, I try to make sure I say as much as I can. Make sure you do some research. That's one of the most important things we can impart to you, is to make sure you do your research. Make sure you take some notes before you get on. Like, I'm going to make sure I do not as many impromptus as come to me, because as you know better, you do better, and you always reserve the right to change your mind based on better information. One of the analogies I've heard before is that back in the days, they were things that people done because they felt a certain way about whatever it was. But as they gain more information, they then act accordingly. So that's kind of what we try to do too. I didn't want to really add a way I was going to go with that, but that's another thing that I'm learning as well. Even some of the things and thoughts that I might have heard or said may not be necessarily palatable to everybody, or even for this podcast. So I try to be ever mindful in some of these analogies that I give, because then people might not take them the way it's meant, and a lot of things we tend to lose the context in what was said or what was done. So we always got to be mindful to put some kind of context into what someone says, or what you hear, or what have you, and things of that nature, man. So a lot of what we do here is to reach out to some veteran entrepreneurs, some seasoned entrepreneurs, in whatever field they are, so we can just simply learn some tried and true business practices, some business acumen, you know, so it can help you lessen your learning curve, that's and implement proper strategies in your growth, because that's really what it is, I say it all the time, it's a race. You have the baton, and while you're running, you're building and learning. But you got to eventually pass that baton on, whether you're passing it on to your children. A lot of people you'll see even have their kids working in the store, even though their kids may not have that vision to do this forever or even long term. You got to teach them that business acumen, work ethic, and things of that nature. I know a lot of my electrician partners and friends, man, that have kids, and their kids necessarily don't want to get into the field of trade, but they definitely take them with them on the weekends and teach them, or they're off on the summertime, have them along with them, just to give them some sense of, okay, what dad and mom is actually doing on their 9 to 5 journey. And so they can have a better understanding of what goes on when, dad or mom is at work. So they can even have that visualization and actual real life experience with it, and that's the same thing too with the trade. You can go to school and learn all of these things, but you definitely have to have some real world application, especially in our, I don't want to say especially in our trade, but I notice it in our trade tremendously. I know a lot of people that went to school and have master license and have different levels of licensing, but they're lacking in that real world hands-on experience, and they end up gaining that after the fact, after they gain their license. And then I know a lot of people that's the opposite, that have a lot of real world experiences, some tried and true tactics, tricks of the trade and things of that nature, but don't have those licenses, a master license or things of that nature. And I'm one of those people too, that I didn't continue on that path to where I could have had my master's license. And that's one of the things I definitely impart on my helper and impart on anyone who I work with or help work with me, is that if you want to definitely get into this trade, I recommend different kind of trade schools. I recommend the union, all these different places where they can go and get their license, so that by the time they're 30, 35, they'll have the proper licenses in trade in hand, where if they want to start a business, they can. Because I know some masters that work for companies, and they may have their own small company, but on a whole, they actually just work for a company as the master that can take on certain projects that they can send to different cities and states and what have you, to just oversee a project and just bring it to fruition. So there's a lot of different things you can do along the way. And also you can network, which is what I do. I reach out to different people in my field, and I network with them. And based on my quality of work, they have no problem networking with me. So, and I truly appreciate love those things with you guys, and you guys know who you are. You definitely been networking for a while, and I wanted to speak on this one here for networking. You have to network in your field. You have to network in what you do. And that's kind of where you help build yourself. And then as you network and gain information, you're able to now impart that information that you gain on whoever else is coming to help you build and grow your business and what have you. So you definitely want to be able to gain the information, gain the knowledge, and build it and help it to build and grow your business. And like I said, we're all inclusive, man. So we're not just African Americans. That I know a majority of our guests, maybe all of our guests so far, have been African Americans, and you'll hear their experiences that they share during their building their journey. But we definitely reach out to our European friends, our Asian friends, and all the different people that we have worked with and networked with, and we welcome all of them to come ramble with us. And you can always reach out to us at iramble1@gmail.com. Send us an email and tell us that you want to network, and we'll definitely reach back out to you in an email, and we'll make something happen. We love to facilitate. We love to try to make things happen, especially in the networking sense. Whatever we're working on and building, we love to be able to network with people, because that's one of the quickest way to kind of gain information and also gain guidance in what you're doing in terms of your business growth. You have to network, and I had to learn that myself because I'm somewhat of an introvert. But in terms of electrical work, I'm very confident that way because I've been doing it for a while, and I know a lot of tried and true things in that trade. So in that realm, I'm very confident wherever I go in terms of doing that work. But in other things too, but in other areas, I'm very much an introvert where I like to just be familiar with what's going on and things like that before I kind of get involved into it. But I'm working more so to kind of work out those things. And like I said in one of our previous pods, it was like an epiphany moment, because I was able to see that that's not networking, and that trait will hinder networking. So we definitely trying to work ourselves through that. And then a lot of why we do this is so that if anybody's going through that or dealing with that, you'll see that don't hinder yourself. Don't limit yourself by saying you're geared to this or geared to that, because you're going to miss out on things that could be possibly good for your business, or possible information that you can gain to help guide the next one that's going to take the baton from you. So definitely don't hinder yourself or limit yourself with that. And we definitely want to thank all of our previous entrepreneurs and guests that was able to take time out of their day and their schedule to impart some experiences, impart some guidance, and tell us how their business have grown and the growth they've seen in their business. One of our recent guests was telling us about some of the struggles that they had in terms of gaining equipment for their business, and not just equipment in terms of don't think of machines or things like that, but just simple apparel. And they were sharing the lack of the manufacturer's foresight in terms of that. But one of the things that we talked about was also not just harping on that side of it, but the change was made. So let's harp on the fact that change was made, and someone in the business, it may not just be for financial gain or capitalizing or what have you, but someone may have saw the actual need and saw and felt the empathy and said, you know what, this needs to happen. So we want to definitely shine a light on the fact that we see change and we see things happening in terms of any business, and we want to definitely highlight those things, because as you highlight them and put the positive energy towards it, you'll see more and more of it change. So definitely don't harp too much on the negative side of it, and don't harp on what was. Just put the positive energy as what you want and what will be, so we can definitely build and grow the things together, man. And that's one of the reasons why we don't have any kind of financial requirements for anybody that we network with or ramble with, man, because we're trying to gain information and impart in a proper manner. And we try to even facilitate by going to these entrepreneurs' places of business, because we understand that you may not have an employee that can run your business like you run in order to give us 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or however long of your time to share your experience with us. So we're willing to meet you at your place of business, which we've done for probably like 90% of them. Or we've had people offer us places to network at, and we're thankful for that, man. We really appreciate the fact that you even see anything in us to say, okay, please, you can use our space so to do an interview, a podcast, or what have you, man. Please understand, we're really appreciative of that. We that does not fall on deaf ears, and we do not take that lightly, because we understand that electricity have to be on in order for us to use your space. Water have to be on in order for someone to use the restroom or get a drink of water or something like that, man. So like I said, we're real thankful for the offer, and we have made use of that before as well. So we're real thankful for that. We don't take that lightly, So we try our best to make sure we We'll travel to where the entrepreneur is, because we understand one of the things with entrepreneuring, you have the passion, and you'll hear from a lot of our guests as they talk about their business, the passion, the drive that makes them get up 4 or 5 in the morning and make them stay up till 4 or 5 in the morning doing whatever it is to prep for the next day. So you hear that passion in what they do. So that's why we try to make sure we are willing to go meet them at their place of business, because they may not have someone as passionate as them to make sure that customers are attended to in a proper manner while they're taking the time to let us ramble with them. And so we really want to make sure we tell them that we've been really thankful for the fact that you've taken time out your schedule. We didn't want to, we know it might be a disturbance to your day to give us that time, and we understand that an entrepreneur schedule is a very busy schedule. There's no time when you're off, because even when you're off, not physically doing something, your brain is always at work trying to put things together, write down your schedule for the week, calls you have to make, networking, so we really understand that when you sit down with us and when you have phone conversations with us, you're taking time out your busy schedule and your day, and we're thankful for that, and we want to make sure that we respect that, and tell you that we thank you very much for that. We understand you making yourself available is priceless, because that's time spent away from what you were probably planning to do. So we want to definitely tell you that we're thankful for that, man. And once again, we cannot stress enough that we at Ramble is an all-inclusive podcast. We're not centric towards no race, color, creed, orientation, or anything of that nature, man. We are a 100% respecter of people, of person, of everyone. So we encourage everyone that to please, reach out to us if you see the any kind of lacking that we're having in terms of you might be into a certain business that we featured before, and there's certain things that we didn't address or get into. Send us an email, man. As they say, jump into DMs. Just send us a message and say, in terms of that you could have said this, or keep in mind this, because all it is trying to build and grow. So I ask a lot of these questions because I'm curious about them, and other people are curious about it too as well. So they may have the idea but don't know they don't know step B. They just have all step one, write it down on step one, the idea, but they don't know the next step in terms of their help getting that thing to fruition. So we definitely, if you can help us foster that in any way, shape, or form, man. Like I said, reach out to us at EYERAMBLE1@gmail.com, or if we intersect each other in our day to day, just we are open to all information, man. So just let us know, hey, on this, that, and the third, or someone who will be able to impart some information on this particular business venture or things like that, man. We're definitely welcoming of that, and once again, we thank everyone for any kind of participation you had in Ramble, and guiding us and giving us some positive feedback, because we take it all as positivity. All criticism to us is constructive. A guy told me the other day, hey man, you need to get some better microphones. Hey, that just happened to be in his line of business. He recognized what a good microphone is, and I told him thank you so much. My next question should have been, hey, what would you recommend? But in my mind, I said, hey, you gonna do some research, because I was currently using some lavalier mics. I have another mic as well. I have, I think it's an 8M. Let me see. It's an 8M 800. If you know anything about that, hey, send me a message. How can I incorporate that? But I typically use the lavalier mics, because the lavalier mics are the lapel mics, because like I said, we travel to these entrepreneurs' place of business, and it's just an easy mic to hook up to the computer. I actually did one last week. My last one was on the phone, so I was able to just plug it into the phone jack and then put the two ports on there. Clip the one on my lapel, clip one on the entrepreneur's lapel. So maybe they have different levels of the lavalier mics, So that's my next level of research, is how to get better sounding. I try not to do any editing, and I was advised, hey man, yeah, sometimes you got to do some editing, because that couple of interviews I had, people, were speaking in certain vernaculars, certain ways that they're accustomed to speaking. And once again, I was thinking, don't limit yourself, because I realized as you speak so plainly as you would speak in the neighborhood, or as you speak in a private conversation, maybe not everything is for the airways, so you might limit yourself that way. So I might have to learn to get into editing where I can seamlessly merge that, or put a quick beep or pause into that, But that's part of the building and growing process, and that was one of the great advice I was given, and I'm thankful and appreciative about, was that, you're gonna grow in a proper manner, and people will understand the growth in what you're doing. So you may not be crisp when you first start out, and that's a lot of the reason why we gear it the way we gear it, without the editing and the use of certain things, because we want you to know that whatever level you are in terms of your podcasting knowledge, you can just start. Whatever level you are in your business, just start. It takes a step. You have to start. So a lot of what we do is trying to give you that confidence to just start what you're doing. We started with some lavalier mics that may cost $20, something like that, on the internet. I wanted to say it wasn't necessarily budget driven, but I gotta really think on what it was. I think it was probably it was for a certain price or what have you, and I didn't have the full knowledge as to whether this particular mic or brand was the best or high level or what have you. But like I said, I'm going to do the research now and see what's a great cost effective lavalier mics, because I enjoy the lavalier mics. I think maybe it's the portability of it, and like I said, I have the other mic on with the stand and the little screen for the puff noise and all of that different thing. But I have that at the house. So while I'm more moving to the entrepreneur space or wherever we're gonna do the interview, the lavalier has just really came in handy. But obviously, like everything else, there are levels to this, man. So I'm going to do some more research and find some the different levels of lavalier mics, and just kindly put it into the budget. And that's one of the things we recommend too as well. You may not be able to afford all that you want when you start out, so that's why one of the things we try to ask our entrepreneurs is, what were the basics? What were the things that you needed to start and make sure your business is done properly? Because you can start out with equipment that's not top grade or not top level, and it hurts your business, because your business is maybe a lot of perception, looks, and if you don't have the proper this or that, you may hurt your business in the long run. And then some of your business is the fact that you might need a top level this or a top level that. So, as you have your day job, you put a little to the side and save. Like I said, baby steps. You put $20 here, $50 here, $100 there, depending on the cost of whatever that particular thing is that you need for your business success and growth. Just put that to the side. A lot of times we spend money on this, that, and the third very quickly. But if you're a true entrepreneur and you have that spirit, you have to put that money to the side and do without this, that, and the third in order to buy the proper microphone, the proper this, to to make your business successful and thrive. So definitely do those things, man. I cannot say that enough. Make sure you have a pen and paper, a notepad, and write these ideas down. Start to even date them. Get a little mini recorder. That's another great advice I got from another entrepreneur. And I went online and I invested in one. I haven't put it to use yet though as well, but I'm actually looking at it now. I need to start putting that to use. To walk around with that little notepad or tape recorder or what have you, and where you can have the timestamp on the tape recorder or your notepad, write it down. A note to self or what have you. The June, whatever date you was there, 5/15. I got the idea to do this, that, and the third. And then, like I said, on the next one, we're gonna try to get into branding, patenting, trademarking. We're gonna gain the information for you. We're gonna make sure we take some notes, write them down, so that when we give you some advice, we're not just telling you, hey, go do research. But always do your research. We're gonna have some valid information. I know I'm real exuberant in terms of what I'm trying to do, so I'll get a brain freeze and may say something that I'm thinking, or it might be wrong and incorrect. But had I written it down and had my notes before I did that impromptu, or before I went on off script, because I have my notes that I'm referring to now, and some of what I'm doing is off script as well, but I need to just be more mindful with that. It's just take my notes, write down what key points I'm trying to reach onto, and try to adhere as much as I can to there, so that you limit brain freeze. That's one of the things I'm learning with this podcasting thing as well. So take your notes, give proper information. Don't be overzealous. Impromptu may not be the best thing for this type of podcast or what I'm trying to do. I'm working on probably even separating into. So I'm working on that too as well, So and then kind of compartmentalizing what this is and what this is going to be in a proper manner, so we can gain the full 100 effects from what we're trying to accomplish with Ramble. And like I said, we're 100% all inclusive. We just tend to have an entrepreneur-centric theme, but we're going to branch into different areas, and we're going to give you as much positive information as we can that's tried and true by these entrepreneurs. And we cannot stress enough, man. Take your notes, do your research. Always joke with people like you have a whole computer in the palm of your hands. It takes 2 seconds to send out a tweet, a post, this, that, and the third. So have that same amount of love and exuberance for what you're trying to do, and just type in there steps to take for this, steps to take for that. As I'm new to some of these entrepreneurs' business, one of the things that a great advice that I got was jump online and type in questions to ask a chef, a baker, things like that. So other than the questions that I had in mind based on natural curiosity, some of them may not even be touch the surface in terms of the great questions that you can ask, because you're trying to gain information in order to share, impart, and give back and help the other entrepreneurs. So some of these things may not be vital to the growth of their business, and then you spent 45 minutes, 2 hours, even though we love to be, our thing is the conversation, gaining information, but you still want to make sure you adhere to the principles, which is you're trying to give steps A, B, C, D, and E, so that they can go ahead and move forward with their own research to get the other steps. So we want to get as much information as we can while we're talking with an entrepreneur, so that we can give you as much guidance as we possibly can in order to help you build and grow your business and be successful. So that's kind of what we wanted to speak on today. We're not going to really over ramble with you. We're going to try to be much more mindful in terms of any impromptu podcasts. We're going to make sure we start focusing now with our notes, our points of reference, tried and trues, and things like that, so we can just go right to it, gain the information, start implying it in whatever areas you need to imply it to, and be ever mindful in what we do, because like I said, we never mean to offend, and we never mean to be anti this or pro this or pro that, and none of those things, man. We are all inclusive, 100% loving and respecting of all people in all areas of walk. And in that note, man, we thank you for letting us ramble with you. Always be blessed and be well.